evening. I'm Pinky Webb. Tonight we ask the questions, we tackle the issues, we clarify matters, and we get on point. From civil-military junta to a caretaker government, talks continue to swirl in political and business circles amid a growing corruption scandal. But officials and the armed forces are pushing back against what they stress an extra-constitutional action. What exactly does the law say about such scenarios? Let's get on point with retired Supreme Court Associate Justice Adolfo Azcuna. Justice, so good to see you again. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
November 30, we are expecting a big rally again on November 30. And there are various calls, Justice. Some are calling for accountability, justice. Some are calling for the President's resignation. Some are even calling for the Vice President's resignation. Some even both President and Vice President. Let's first talk about the line of succession so it's clear to all of us. What does the Constitution say about the line of succession?
The Constitution provides very specific provisions on succession in the case of the President and the Vice President. It depends on where the vacancy occurs. If it occurs in the office of the President and the vacancy is permanent, then the Vice President becomes President.
For the remaining term of the President?
For the remaining term of the President. And if it is temporary, of course, there are provisions on acting president. The vice president can act as president for the duration of the temporary disability. So palagay mo na permanent, in which case the vice president becomes president. Now, if both are vacant, both of them resign, for instance, there is a very specific provision, Section 10, of Article 7, which mandates Congress in that eventuality to immediately meet without the need for a call within 3 days from the occurrence of such vacancy and enact within 7 days a law calling for special elections to fill both vacancies to be held not less than 45 days, nor more than 60 days from the time of such call. And so there's a special elections, and then it says these special elections cannot be postponed, is immediately effective without the need for the President's signature upon third reading, approval of third reading. And also it cannot happen if the elections are within 18 months, regular elections. So this assumes that the occurrence of the vacancies occur more than 18 months away from regular elections.
What happens if it's before or less than 18 months to the election?
Then we wait for the regular elections.
I see. And then who sits as President and Vice President?
The Senate President will be
Acting President.
Acting President.
Justice, so actually we put that up on the screen a while ago, so it's very clear. I'll read the section that you were referring to. We're talking about Article 7, Section 10 of the 1987 Constitution. The Congress shall, at 10 o'clock in the morning of the third day after the vacancy. So if there's a vacancy for the President and Vice President, 3 days later at 10 a.m., they should convene in accordance with its rules without the need of a call and within 7 days enact a law. So kailangan po sila gumawa ng batas. Tama ho ba? Not calling for a special election.
Yes.
Okay, so after the third day, they have to convene both houses of Congress.
Yes.
And then they have to enact a law for a special election.
Yes.
Okay, and it says that, as you mentioned a while ago, the bill calling such special election shall be deemed certified under paragraph 2, section 26, etc. You were talking about the 45 days. Could you kindly state that? Here it is, sorry. President, Vice President to be held not earlier than 45 days nor later than 60 days. So kailangan maganap po yung election.
Yes.
Okay, within that time frame.
Specific time frame for that special elections. So not earlier than 45 days nor later than 60 days from the time of the call. The call is in the law.
Right.
The law calls for such election.
And in the meantime, it is the Senate President that will be acting President.
Or in his disability, the Speaker.
Is there a possibility that all four might not be able to honor that function, or to be able to sit as acting President? Let's say even if the Speaker is not available, what happens?
The Constitution says there should be a law. The Congress should pass a law to provide who shall act as President in case the officials mentioned in the Constitution are unable to do so. But apparently until now there's no law. That's why Senator Robin Padilla is sponsoring such a law.
So it's just like the anti-dynasty law.
Proposed law, yes.
It's prohibited, but there is no enabling law, which we're going to get to a little later on. So that is what is in the Constitution. The line of succession is if the president, dies or is permanently disabled, resigns, or is impeached, tama ho ba those four, the vice president takes over.
Yes.
If the same happens to the vice president, it's the Senate president who becomes acting president, not president.
No.
Okay. If the Senate president is also unable, it's going to be the speaker. If not, Congress has to
pass a law, decide who then acts as president.
For the meantime, while there is an election that will be forthcoming.
That's correct.
Is there anything in the 1987 Constitution, Justice, that talks about what we've been hearing, a people's initiative or a transition council?
Actually, no, but then there is a provision that the military, the armed forces of the Philippines, is the protector of the people and the state. And on that basis, some quarters maintain that in case of a crisis, the armed forces of the Philippines can intervene. And like that, there's a gap. Let's say there's no law as to who will act as president in case of there's no president, no vice president, no speaker, no Senate president. The military might fill the gap in the exercise of its function as a protector of the people and the state. So it's possible.
But Justice, that's only until Congress decides who will sit as acting president and calls for a special election within 45 to 60 days.
Yes, that's true.
Would that be how would you describe that? I mean, that's not a military intervention. Would you call it that? Would you call it a junta? Would you call it a transition council or a people's initiative? Or none of the above?
It could
a caretaker?
It could be, I would call it the tribune of the people. That is a term from Roman times, where the tribune was a protector of the people. And in that provision that we put regarding the armed forces being a protector of the people and the state, it actually makes the armed forces of the Philippines a tribune of the people. So it is a...
and the leader would be the AFP Chief of Staff.
It's a possibility, yes.
When they talk about People's Initiative, Justice, or Transition Council, does that sit well with someone like you, who is one of the framers of the 1987 Constitution? Is that allowed? Is it legal?
It's something that we did not really discuss very well, but we did discuss the possibility of an extra constitutional action on the part of the people. Somebody proposed putting in the Constitution the right of the people to revolt, the right to revolt as an inherent right of the people. And we prevailed upon the proponent not to put it anymore, since the right is there anyway, but let's not put it in black and white. But the people always have the inherent right to change the government
as we've seen in the past.
Extra constitutionally. Of course, it depends whether it's successful or not. If it's not successful, then they'll be punished as rebels. But a successful revolution like the 1986 revolution does away with the Constitution and brings about a new setup, a new, possibly a new constitution, which happened in the case of President Cory Aquino. The 1986 People's Power Revolution successfully replaced or toppled the 1973 Constitution. A successful revolution, the first effect of a successful revolution is that all political laws fall to the ground. And the most political of all laws is the Constitution. So in a successful revolution, the Constitution falls to the ground. So after February 26, 1986, we had no Constitution until President Cory adopted not the present Constitution, she adopted another Constitution called Freedom Constitution a month later, which took effect sometime in March 26. And during that interregnum between February and March, we had no Constitution. That is decided by the Supreme Court in one case where the right to one's privacy and personal belongings was at issue during that interregnum, and agents of the state seized those properties without a proper search warrant. And the Supreme Court said there was no Constitution, but the right to one's property is still protected by international law.
That's what
that's
we kind of
prevailing.
adopted, or that was our guidance then,
That is,
in that 1 month.
Yes, so that is whatever happens here now, we must remember that the fundamental rights of the people are always protected. If the Constitution is overthrown or abrogated, there remains international law, which protects the fundamental rights of the people.
Circling back to my question, Justice, is a people's initiative or a transition council legitimate? Or is it found in the 1987 Constitution?
It is debatable, Pinky, because that depends on your interpretation, again, of that provision on the armed forces being the protector of the people, whether or not that allows, in the case of a vacuum, or some kind of transitional governance headed by the armed forces of the Philippines. Note that the armed forces of the Philippines in that provision is capital, because in the Commander-in-Chief provision, where it says the President is the Commander-in-Chief of all armed forces of the Philippines, small letters yun. So that includes police, all armed forces. But when it says the armed forces of the Philippines are the protector of the people in the state, capital A, capital F, capital P, AFP. So it's the armed forces. That is the tribune of the people.
But Justice, we have to underscore the fact that while you're saying this could happen, it can only happen if all four of them are unable to perform the function of acting president.
Yes, and there is no law, because right now there's no law.
Right.
Who will act as president
Right.
if all four cannot do it.
Until that law by Senator Robin Hood Padilla, as you were mentioning a while ago, that bill rather will be passed into law, then we have possibly a fifth alternative here.
Fifth or sixth or seven, depends on the law.
Magtutuloy-tuloy po yun. Okay, so that particular part that we were talking about, if there is a lull, if four are not unable to function as an acting president, the AFP can come in. If there's no law, if there's no law.
Yes.
If the military comes in, does that make a civilian military junta or council legal?
The actual form in which the military will exercise its function as a protector of the people may take the form of a council or a single person. It's not defined, as long as the only criterion or standard is protection of the people and the state.
Yeah, But Justice, that requires then, para po, siguro sabihin natin, hindi maging magulo. If the four are unable to perform that function as acting president, what Congress really has to do immediately is to convene and pass a law. Can they pass a law within 24 hours, or does it have to be, is there a time period by which they pass a law on who will be that one person who will be acting president if the four are unable to do that?
Remember, Pinky, there's no president, so they cannot pass a law. The only law they can pass without a president is that special election law. So any other law needs the signature of the president. Wala ng presidente
So kailangan po talaga yung election within 45 to 60 days. They cannot assign, can Congress assign anybody to be the caretaker for the meantime while there is...
They should do it now, while they can still make a law.
While it is still legal, while there is while you have a president.
While there's still a president who can sign the law.
All right. We're going to take a very short break. We'll continue our discussion with retired Supreme Court Associate Justice Adolfo Azcuna when we return. Stay tuned. This is On Point. Welcome back. Still with us, retired Supreme Court Associate Justice Adolfo Azcuna. I was asking Justice Azcuna a while ago, why not the Chief Justice as the fifth person in the line of succession? And you were saying...
Yes, that's an excellent question, Pinky. The reason is because the Constitution, the new Constitution now, prohibits members of the court from performing executive functions. That includes the Chief Justice.
That's why there are three branches of government.
That's right.
Executive, legislative, and
Executive.
judiciary. So bawal po yun.
Yes.
Okay. What we're talking about are possible scenarios, Justice. However, I mean, what are really the chances that, you know, a president is unable to perform his or her function? The vice president is also unable to perform his or her. The speaker, the Senate president and the speaker of the House. What is really, it can happen, surely.
Yeah.
But I guess the reason you guys didn't go further on was because the probability of that was almost
And
nil
also,
at that
we
time?
provided that Congress shall adopt a law to state who shall act as president in case all four are unable to act. There is a need, really, for Congress to provide for that.
If you say that Congress, you provided that Congress can assign a person to act as president if the four are unable. What is that? Is that a vote among both houses of Congress and you get what? Simple majority vote? Does it say anything about that?
It's like a simple law only.
Okay.
Yeah.
So 50% plus one.
Yes.
So sila, boboto sila kung sinong dapat.
Parang
Ganun po
procedure
yun.
for any ordinary law.
But to call for a people's council, a transitional council, now that you have a president, you have a vice president, you have a Senate president, and a speaker, is that even, I guess, legal? Is that right? Would that be correct? Is it doable?
It would be unconstitutional. Yes. And it would violate the oath to defend and protect the Constitution, which the officials take, especially the president, the vice president, the senators, congressmen. So you could say it's extra constitutional, but I say it's unconstitutional.
Unconstitutional.
Yes.
What are your thoughts on there are calls supposedly of withdrawing support to the president, or even talks of a military junta, Justice?
Yeah, well, this word junta, military junta, has a bad connotation because it reminds us of other regimes that are not democratic, no, and that have suppressed the freedoms of the people. So the proponents of such a setup avoid using the word junta. They call it council, but it's the same thing. Yeah.
But junta, that's just a negative
it's
connotation
semantics.
from. What about calls for the president's resignation, or even calls for the president's resignation and the vice president's resignation. Is that, number one, illegal, or does that form of freedom of expression? And number two, would that be a form of destabilization?
Number one, it's legal. You can call for the resignation of our highest officials, the right of the people to call. Well, it could be destabilizing, especially at the time of crisis right now, when you need a steady governance. So such demands has to be balanced against the possible ill effects of such a possibility of resignation. It's like changing horses midstream. It might not be good for the economy, not good for the country, and should be resorted only as a last resort, I think, in case there's really inability to govern on the part of our highest officials.
Do you think that the president is still on the right track? Do you think that he should stay, he should not resign, that he is doing what needs to be done to stem corruption the best way that the government can?
Yes, I think right now the president should not resign, because if he does so, it will, I think, destabilize the situation. After all, he was the one who exposed the flood control scandal, and he's apparently doing the proper steps to take action so that the culprits will be given justice. So let's give him a chance to show that he will be equal to the tremendous task that faces his office.
And Justice, it's good that it come from you. Marami ho kasing nababagalan doon sa pace by which charges are being filed. Of course, there are steps that need to be taken, and of course, there is the right of a respondent before one actually becomes even a suspect, hindi ho ba?
Yes.
Can you kindly explain to us, as a former justice of the Supreme Court, how do you see the pace by which this investigation is ongoing and charges are filed?
Well, I think so far this has not been too slow. It has to be really a following of due process. That's why I jokingly tell my children that when they say that by Christmas people will be in jail, I said, Christmas what year?
Not 2025. Yeah.
So when you say Christmas time, you have to add a year, so that we are clear on that.
Yeah.
So really, I think so far, hindi pa naman masyadong mabagal.
You're content with the pace?
Yes,
Okay.
I think so. I think the pace is not too slow.
All right. Quickly though, anti-dynasty law. Do you think, well, there are already bills in Congress. Bills were filed way back. We just need, it's prohibited in the 1987 Constitution, but we need an enabling law. Would this be the perfect time? And do you think, actually, let me rephrase that question. Do you think this time around, our politicians will finally pass the anti-dynasty law?
I doubt it, but anything can happen. I am forever hopeful, because our Muslim brothers and sisters have done it. In their Bangsamoro parliament, they passed an election code which contains a prohibition of political dynasty. And I asked them, what is your definition? They said 2 degrees. So maganda kako.
Pwede na yung second degree sa inyo, because the one filed recently, I think, is until the 4th degree of
4 degrees,
consanguinity.
yeah.
So hanggang pinsan yun.
Yeah.
And wala pa pong succession. Bawal pa po yung succession in the anti-dynasty bill. All right. Also,
Yeah.
quickly, Concon, what do you think? Is it time to amend, revise the Constitution through a constitutional convention?
I think right now would not be a good time, since we are facing a crisis, but it should be considered probably on or before 1934.
And just also, I was talking to Justice Azcuna about the Omnibus Election Code.
Yes.
This was not, just to be clear, this was not part of the 1987 Constitution. This was promulgated
No,
way
it's
ba-
a
way
law,
be-
yeah, passed by Congress. Yes.
yeah, but before the 1987 Constitution came into effect?
No, it's a new law. The Omnibus Election Code is a legislation, I think,
Okay.
of the present governor, the post-1987
I see.
Constitution. Yeah.
Okay, so there was a news report, just very quickly, that the COMELEC dismissed this supposed violation. There was a motu proprio investigation into Centerways, Mr. Lubiano, and Senator Chis Escudero, both, of course, agreeing and saying that one gave 30 million pesos, the other one saying that, yes, I received 30 million pesos as campaign contribution. The COMELEC basically saying they cleared both individuals, saying that there was no evidence to prove that the money actually came from Centerways Construction, which was part of the top 15 contractors that cornered a big chunk of the flood control projects. Justice, how does one actually decide, or how do you separate one being that money coming from Mr. Lubiano and the money coming from Centerways? Because basically sinasabi po nila that there is a separate legal personality of its own. Yung pong Centerways and yung pong Mr. Lubiano, the owner, or the president of Centerways. Can you kind of explain that to us?
Well, the contractor has separate personality from the company that the contractor owns, together with other people. So when the contractor gives money to a candidate, and it's not clear whether or not the money was being given in his personal capacity or on behalf of the corporation that he owns together with other people, the decision or the judgment should be to hold that it was in a private capacity. Why? Because the rule is in a criminal possibility of a criminal liability. The rule is of two equally viable hypotheses, one in favor of the accused, the other against. You have to sustain the one in favor of the accused.
I see.
So in this case, it's equally, let's say it's equally possible that nanggaling ito sa corporation, pwede rin sa private. So you have to say it's private. Why? Because it favors the accused.
Yes, of
That's
course.
our system.
And so the COMELEC would be in the right to have cleared this issue. Just a quick follow-up. Then every contractor now, or every person who owns a construction company that would want to donate to any politician, for that matter, can basically just say that that came from my personal account and not my construction company.
Yes, they can do that. They are not prohibited from contributing. It's the contractor, and when he gives, he's not a contractor. He's a private person. But then that can be abused, and it depends perhaps on the amount and on the accounting. Sometimes the accounting, although they say it's my funds, but they charge it to the corporation. So it depends on the evidence.
All right. Retired Supreme Court Associate Justice Adolfo Azcuna. Always a pleasure to have you, Justice. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
That's On Point. Join us again tomorrow, 7:30 p.m. here on BNC, the Billionaire News Channel. I'm Pinky Webb. Thank you for watching.